I think that's, again, one of the differences between being here and being in the U.S. is people are in a hurry in the U.S. People want to get to where they're going, and they want to get there quick, and people are going to get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that was good. Rolling by trike. Here we go. All right, so let's talk about the pros and cons. Pros and cons to dating apps. Let's start with the pros. We can start with the pros first. I think the first pro is you have access to a lot more potential partners, right? So it used to be, years and years ago, you only had access to the people in your town or in your neighborhood. But now with dating apps, you can literally meet people around the world. And that's huge because, you have a bigger market, right?
You can even filter the country where you want to meet that person. Yeah. So there.
Right. Is there specific countries do you think that most women would like to, for foreign guys, that most women would like to date men in?
Personally, when I started the dating app, I am more leaning towards Asian guys. But then also I explored other countries as well because it's kind of difficult to communicate, especially if they're not fluent in English. So transition to English speaking countries like Australia, Canada, United States, and other countries as well.
Right. Do you think, as far as most Filipinas, do you think there's a preference for what country? I know Australia's pretty close. Australia's not far from here. As far as most Filipinos, do you think there's a preference as to what countries they're looking for guys to come from, or is it pretty general?
Seeing the trend, like what I see on Facebook, YouTube, Filipinas usually prefer white guys.
From any country?
From any country.
From any country, right.
Just white
is what it
specifically.
Is, right. Yeah. Well, we all have our preferences.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That's just my observation.
Okay. How do you think people from the Philippines feel about dating black men or men who are not white?
For me, that's...
Let's go in general.
General.
You can do both. You can talk about yourself and in general.
Okay. Generally, the preference, like what I mentioned a while ago, is mostly white because that's what I see on social media. When they pick up their guys at the airport, it's mostly white. Yeah. So Black Americans or from the other countries, Africans, personality is what comes first, right? So you better get to know that person first, and it doesn't come with color. So
right. Okay. All right, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, thanks. I appreciate your candor.
The second pro is convenience and accessibility.
So how do you feel about that?
It's very easy to match with someone using your phone.
Yeah, you're right there. You got your phone in your hand, and you can chat and talk and sort of get to know somebody just on your phone, whether you're at work or home or.
Yeah, and they would even reply as if they didn't ghost you for 4 days. So.
Right.
As if nothing happened.
Just like nothing happened, right? Like ghost, huh? I've been here the whole time. You have access to the entire world. Right, to women or guys or whatever around the world. So that is incredibly convenient, right? Okay.
Yeah, the next one is clear intentions. So maybe if you're up for fun, straight up, you're going to tell that girl or that guy that you're only up for fun or you're up for long-term relationship or short-term relationship.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this before when we were talking about the first dating app, about your intentions, about some people or just want to have fun, when there's nothing wrong with that. But then there's other people like myself who have the intent of dating for the purpose of being in a long-term relationship or being married, whichever it might be, but of being in a long-term relationship with one partner. And so you can state right up front, look, these are my intentions. And then there's no getting around it. You can't say, I didn't know, because you both said up front, look, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. So I think that's really cool because you both get to know that your intentions are the same.
Yes.
All right. So the cons of dating apps is one of the biggest cons, I think, limited information.
Agree.
Limited information. There's some things you need to know. You have to ask some very specific questions.
And what are those? Please?
I'm going to tell you, men, listen really carefully because I'm going to tell you two of the most specific questions that you need to ask here in the Philippines. Questions. First question you need to ask is, are you married? Okay. You need to ask women, are you married? And some women, and because people the truth is a tricky thing here sometimes, right? So people, because they're separated, because there's no divorce here. There's no divorce here. And that's really important to understand. There's no divorce here. So some women think, well, we're not together anymore, so I'm not married. But they are still married. And that's important to understand. So the second thing you have to ask is, are you separated? You have to ask that specifically and directly. Are you separated? Because people will say, I'm not married. Or they'll say they're divorced, but they're not really divorced, they're separated. And why is this important? It's important from the legal aspect because if you start messing with a woman who's separated, there can be some very, very bad legal consequences behind that. You can go to prison, her ex-husband can kill you, can sue you, can do a whole bunch of stuff and get away with it. Don't mess with married women. Don't mess with separated women. It is not worth it. Second con is
potential for misrepresentation. When you meet a guy and then he tells you he's single, of course, he tells you he's single, and you are not really sure if you're really talking to that person. Because I encountered one, like for example, I have 3 rules actually when I do online dating.
All right.
Number 1.
What's number 1?
Number 1 is
change rule number 1 right here.
Number 1, you should be willing to do a video call.
Absolutely. I didn't even say that. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so we know that you're real, right? Just so we know you're a real person. Okay.
So that's the first rule. Number 1 is you are willing to do a video call anytime. But of course, not every day. Like once in a while.
What if I'm butt naked coming out the shower? Like, well, hold on. I can talk right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's number 1. And it's non-negotiable. So
that's a good rule. That's a good rule. Okay.
You should be willing to do a video call. Number 2, no sending of money.
Absolutely. Well, okay.
So
we've talked about this before. I am never, under any circumstances, going to advocate sending money to somebody you have never met.
Or receiving money for me.
I'll take some money. I'll take some. If you're gonna give me money, I'm taking the money. But I'm not asking you for money. But anyway, but under no circumstances should you be sending money overseas to someone you've never even met face to face before. You don't really know them. And even if you have met them face to face, you need to be really picky. You need to be very sure of what you're doing because you don't know what's going on what somebody's doing in another country. So I absolutely agree with that.
Number 3, and this is for your security, no sending of nudes.
Jeez.
I mean, that's my personal opinion because, the internet, for me, the internet is super scary. And you don't want your kids, I have boys.
I agree. No, I agree.
You don't want your boys to see your pictures online. Like
I'm gonna just say I understand. I understand what you're saying. I understand.
I mean, for a guy's point of view, it wouldn't hurt to receive some nude pictures from the girl.
Oh, I mean, if you're gonna first of all, I'm not advocating nobody sending nude pictures or anything like that. However, if you insist upon sending me some pictures to let me know what you really look like, I'm not going to say no. Who am I to refuse you, right? I'm not going to say no. On the serious side, I do understand that there's a lot of single parents, single mothers out there, and who their kids play with their phone.
Yes.
And so you definitely would not necessarily want to be sending those kind of pictures to that woman. I think I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. I think I'll leave it at that.
Well, okay. We're already on the topic. I just have this question on my mind right now. So what's with guys sending their
junk?
Yeah, their pics. Their banana pics.
You know what? Okay. Guys, if you're watching this video, send your comments below. I mean, I have my own answer. What I think. I mean, I'm not saying that I actually do that, but I'm just saying I have my own ideas as to why I do that, why people do that. But I think I don't know. I can't. I don't know what it is. I'm not even saying I've ever done it before. I'm not. I mean,
Why do you send it in the first place?
I think it's this. Because when you see a picture of a woman, you get, as a guy, you get kind of turned on or riled up. And I think in our minds, we would like to hope that it's also the other way around. That her seeing a picture of me in my skivvies would turn her on, and she might get excited too over seeing me in the nude. That's what I think it might be. It could be more than that, but that's what it might. That's what it would be.
Thanks for watching. Drop a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for part 2.